Okay, I think we're just about ready. Sorry, I got a little distracted setting up. So let's get to the main screen and... Okay. Hey, everyone. Also, I see Ryan still has X there thing. We should probably get that fixed. Anyway, yeah, I was able to launch my vtuber avatar, thankfully, since Steam was, if you guys can tell, a lot of game stores were crashing because Silksong released today, a game that I don't really have yet, but oh, hey, Galaxy Cookie. But yes, tonight I am going to be working on a PNG avatar for a friend of mine, since we're actually working on a project with a couple others. I'll probably elaborate on that once it actually materializes, but in the meantime, I think I'll go ahead and react to Josh Scorcher's video on the top 10 character assassinations in gaming, since I kind of want a bit of a cool down from all the more controversial stuff that's just happening in general. But yes, let's go ahead and get started while I, get started drawing.
Video is brought to you by Redneck Engineer, custom-built gaming PCs and parts for an affordable price. Use code JoshScorcher at checkout for a 5% discount. And make sure you don't have any coupon clipping extensions like Honey installed or I don't get my commission. Thank you!
Gary, what happened?
Yeah, that's a very important.
Used to be so cool.
Instructive.
Character development is one of the most essential elements to making an interesting and memorable character. Go figure. So,
Hold on, gotta relaunch the Flip Studio real quick. Some reason. Oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. People got stuff to do. It just kind of happens. Okay. Try again. Okay, yeah, seems to be a problem with my tablet. Dang it. Plug this in again. This happens. Alright, give me a second. I usually have to jiggle this damn thing. Damn, what's happened? Hey, freaking hate when my tablet just stops working. I jump through several freaking hoops just to get it to work again. Okay. Give me 1 second while I see if something unplugged into on my computer end. No. Do reaction content while drawing. If that's so hard to do, ask for. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Oh, hey, Zoe. Sorry, I'm currently trying to get my tablet to work, so Avatar is not visible at the moment. Okay, I heard something. Okay, so 1 second, I gotta look something up. And apparently I heard see that here USB need a micro cable. I'm not entirely sure what how good that claim is though. I'm gonna find out. Okay, so good. Well, it isn't a dream without PC problems, so let's see. Do anything? It did not. Okay. Try again. Okay, give me 1 second. Try something else. Hey. It's always something going wrong with the stream. Alright, let's see. Launch services. Okay. Okay, I have no idea what this is called. I just realized. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. Fucking hell. Enough that this thing. I know that what the reset button's like on this thing. I don't even know if this thing is even supposed to be. I've never seen it. Post. Okay, maybe if I freaking hell! Why is this thing not working? Can't do this shit, man. Let me see if plugging it back in out again. It's okay. I'm gonna need to reset the stream. Sorry, guys. Be right back. Fucking hell. That was painful. Yeah, I ultimately gave up trying to get my tablet to work, so I used an old one that I just kept on standby. But Jesus fucking Christ, I need to replace my old tablet. Well, guess we'll just have to make do with what we got for now. Anyway, anyone want to watch a video just so I can get my mind off things? Yeah, I want to watch a video.
This video is brought to you by Redneck Engineer, custom-built gaming PCs and parts for an affordable price. Use code JoshScorcher at checkout for a 5% discount. And make sure you don't have any coupon clipping extensions like honey installed or I don't get my commission. Thank you!
Gary, what happened to you?
Yeah, don't trust honey, people.
Character development is one of the most essential elements to making an interesting and memorable character. Go figure. So it's all the more frustrating when a story gets it wrong. What's a character assassination? Well, under our definition, it's this. A character experiences a dramatic and unjustified shift in personality that makes them far less interesting. Maybe a hero turned into a villain for a really bad reason. Maybe it was the opposite. Whatever happened, it's the kind of thing that fans of the character choose to ignore when singing their praises. As for the criteria, it's simple. How good was the character originally, and how badly were they ruined? If a character was ruined by one game but managed to get fixed in the next one, they'll be ranked lower. Obviously, characters who are given an understandable justification for changing so dramatically are not included. Let's dive in.
Yes, seems simple, easy enough to understand. should also be noted that sometimes writers do this because they want to at least try to improve the character. So a lot of times it's generally unneeded and the character was fine as is. Oh, yes.
Sir, we've just gotten word that a successful assassination attempt was made on a character from a fighting game.
Mud of Hylia. Who was the target?
Sindel.
Do we have ourselves a suspect?
Actually, we've already found our assassin. Mortal Kombat 11.
Ye gods!
Yeah, for those who don't know about Mortal Kombat lore, Sindel, who first debuted in Mortal Kombat 3,
I don't know about Mortal Kombat lore.
Is surprisingly a good-hearted soul. At least in the original Mortal Kombat time.
All I know about Mortal Kombat is that it's gory and the fighting mechanics are kind of mediocre.
Alongside her daughter, Princess
And this is from Mortal Kombat fans, apparently.
Kitana, and presents herself as a regal, mature, and benevolent queen who probably has an army of simps given that description. Unfortunately, Sindel would find herself a victim of necromancy and mind control at the hands of Quan Chi, because it's always Quan Chi. When is it ever not Quan Chi?
I hate you, and I think you should die. You are an idiot, and I hate your voice. There's no room on this paper to properly describe how much I hate you. Go die.
Under his spell, Sindel would murder her first husband, Jared, be forced into marriage with Shao Kahn, and reluctantly give up everything she had to keep her daughter safe. Now, she would break out of this and become heroic, and you can certainly sympathize with her given that she was under malevolent influence. Then Mortal Kombat 11 happened. This game decided, nah, Sindel actually meant to kill Jared, and she's been nothing but a power-hungry, traitorous monster this entire time. The fact that she was a target for rulers like Shao Kahn, Shinnok, and Onaga, the tragedy of her committing all her heinous
It's always someone trying to write a twist villain, I swear.
Being unwilling to marry Shao Kahn was apparently a lie to keep the Adenians and her daughter loyal to her. She actually was the dreamy, dominant, and assertive Shao Kahn, while Jared was a wimpy little man who believes himself and Sindel to be no better than measly commoners.
That was his mistake.
This is such a frustrating...
Yeah, who wants Mortal Kombat again? WB? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
mishandling of a tragic villain. It's ridiculous. It blatantly retcons well-written lore that was already established 30 years ago at this point, turning her from a sympathetic baddie whose actions were the result of brainwashing to a psychopathic simp for Shao Kahn. Thankfully, Mortal Kombat 1 gives us a rebooted version of Sindel that's on the site of good again. But man, what the writers of Mortal Kombat 11 did to Sindel in the original timeline really pisses me off. If Mortal Kombat Annihilation can handle Sindel's backstory better than 11, you got no excuse. Star Fox Adventures. No one really talks about Star Fox Adventures. You know, except for the obvious.
Hello.
Yep.
Well, it's all Dark Lord Shadow talked about anyways.
And she spent most of it trapped in a crystal. Get it? Fast forward to 2005 with Assault, and she ends up joining the Star Fox team as one of their newest pilots. She and Fox start dating, and they have a pretty solid relationship. Fox is a little protective, but he still treats her like she's part of the team. And why shouldn't she be? She's a telepath who saved their bacon from a race of psychic bugs way more times than we could recall. But then we come to Star Fox Command, and just like that, the honeymoon's over. Apparently, psychic bugs are a-okay, but frog emperors? Nah, that's too dangerous for the blue telepath lady.
Look, unless the frogs are Nazis and the Frog Emperor happens to be Skynet, I don't think they're in any danger. Is anyone gonna get the Bucky O'Hare reference? Yeah, whatever.
As Fox kicks Crystal off the team. You know, despite all the good she's done to help them, dick move, Fox. Major dick move. Out of pettiness, Crystal ends up joining Starwolf, a rival team whose hands are not exactly the cleanest. Throughout the rest of the game, she constantly moans about what Fox did to her, and she even betrays and tries to kill them at one point. Again, over a breakup. And then...
I mean, thankfully, Pigma's not on the team anymore. Yeah, I've never played the games yet. I know about the lore. Go figure.
There are the endings. Certain paths and choices you take massively affect where Crystal's story concludes. Some endings have her and Fox make amends and actually get back together. Others are not so kind. One ending has Crystal rejoin Star Fox only to dump him again and go back to Starwolf, and then shunned by literally everyone, forcing her to go off as a lone bounty hunter. And by the time Fox sees her in this ending, he barely recognizes her. Now, those would be tragic and make me sympathize with her if she didn't bring them on herself. Now, the reason this is so low is that while most of it was Fox's fault for kicking her to the curb, Crystal seriously overreacted. You know that one really stupid trope in storytelling where in one chapter of the story the couple gets together, but in the very next chapter after a time skip they've broken up or are on ice or something? That's this, and it sucks. Especially in the bounty hunter ending. Yeah, he messed up, big time, but you can argue that a lot of his actions and the ending results were player-driven. Crystal's, on the other hand, weren't player-driven. She willingly chose to walk down the dark paths and fashion the consequences herself. And the fact that she did this over a breakup just makes her look so childish. It's because of this that a lot of fans don't consider Command canon. Heck, even her voice actress doesn't count it. Ugh, I swear Command is just writers making fanfiction official.
My first fanfiction. Now all the characters will share my opinion.
Actually, I could give a bit of an explanation. The writers apparently wanted to try to make a choose-your-own-adventure type thing and just ran into brick walls while writing. But, yeah, a lot of them just didn't work out. You gotta remember, writing teams tend to shuffle around just like the normal development teams do, so typically it just kind of... So typically a lot of people don't know how to write whom, and many of them are typically inexperienced. Also, they're just normal hires for a bunch of corporate bigwigs or something. Yeah. Of course, that's just what some cases are like. Not saying it's like that for many others.
Having tie-in media connected to a major franchise is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can sometimes be better than the source material. But if you're watching a movie and they reference an event that happened in a tie-in that not everyone has access to, it's gonna feel like a chore to do the research to connect the dots. And there are the times when character derailment happens in a tie-in. Which brings me to Alex Mercer. Quick recap, the real Alex Mercer was a scientist who died during the start of the virus outbreak. This Alex was duplicated by the virus with amnesia and superhuman abilities. He became a hero of sorts, trying to put the pieces of what he thinks are his memories back together. However, it turns out that the real Alex was kind of a prick in all honesty. The original game ended with our Alex having a bit of an existential crisis and leaving to find his place in the world.
I looked for the truth. Found it. Didn't like it. Wish the hell I could forget it.
Kind of bittersweet, but it showed that he had some bit of faith in humanity and wanted to be a part of it. This is huge considering he was created to destroy it, but then Prototype 2 came around and
Humanity is stagnant, dying. I would give it one body, one mind.
what the heck?
Oh, if you think that's bad. Infamous, the rival franchise, actually did something similar with their protagonists. Okay, so a bit of backstory. In the first Infamous title, the main character, Cole McGrath, was friends with a person named Zeke. I believe that was his name. I haven't really played it in a while. But then through various bits of storytelling, the mission control was revealed to have had a hidden agenda and also may or may not have contributed to the rise of the big bad of the second game. It was kind of vague. Zeke betrayed Cole because he wanted powers, though I think though he does kinda develop a bit better in the later on, and story's kind of weird. The game ultimately ends with the big bad of the first game, who is also a version of the protagonist from an alternate future where he didn't train to hone his powers. And it ends with Cole not knowing who to trust anymore, given that Zeke stabbed him in the back, and Mission Control just turned out to have her own agenda for whatever reason, also lying about her marital status with another character. Yeah, it was a very complicated story. Then come the second game. He and Zeke are friends again, and the Mission Control character is nowhere to be found, and the beast is awake again. They give very little explanation on this. And then it turns out it was actually explained in a comic. Very similar to this.
Humanity is completely useless and he'd rather destroy it. Yeah, he becomes just as evil as the ones who created him. He manipulates Heller, the new protagonist for the sequel, to further his own goals to spread the virus. By the way, Mercer was the one who unleashed the virus a second time, so he caused the death of Heller's family. You're probably wondering what all this has to do with my little rant from earlier. Well, it turns out we did find out what happened to Mercer to make him this way. In a comic! In a 3-issue miniseries titled Prototype 2 The Anchor, we see what Mercer's been up to between both games. He went globetrotting to try and restore his faith in humanity. Unfortunately, he witnesses a few too many rotten eggs and has kind of a black and white view of good and evil. Oh, and he got his heart broken by a pretty girl. Because of course he did. How compelling. I mean, sure, I can see a heel turn working for this character, but the way it came about was so forced.
Yeah, as you can probably tell, comic tie-ins are a very huge double-edged sword. I mean, Sly 3 also did a comic tie-in, but they at the very least recapped what happened in said comic in the intro to the third game. So, yeah. Comic prologues are fucking weird, man. You either get missing dialogue or just missing plot points from the game just shoved in there for no reason. And again, I suppose it could be worse. You have plot points referenced in an unrelated video game for your multi-million-dollar franchise. Yes, I am referencing the time in Star Wars just revealed plot points in Fortnite. Yeah, well, guess what? Some of us don't play Fortnite, so... Might be why your movie kind of sucked.
Spent an entire game watching him grow a conscience, then he gets dumped and decides to make it all of humanity's problem. And the fact that this important bit of the story was told in a random side comic makes it feel even more contrived and idiotic. Sadly, there hasn't been a new prototype game since no way to salvage this mess of a story. And that
Also, the game underperformed, and Activision will kill franchises for less. There's that too.
that's how it all ends. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. Pokemon's got a wide cast of human characters, and aside from a select few, most of them stay the same in between games. So you wouldn't expect a main villain's entire story to collapse come the updated third release of a generation, right? Well, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon ended up dropping the ball hard in this case. Sure, we got Necrozma. That's not the issue. The issue is what happened to Lucamine to get to this point. So in the original Sun and Moon, everything in the story revolved around her and her relationship with her kids. Thanks to the double whammy of her husband disappearing into ultra space and that same ultra space containing her new obsession Nihilego, Lucamine is kinda, sorta an insane abusive monster. Specifically, thanks to the neurotoxin flowing through her, Lucamine has become hyper-fixated on Nihilego and to an extent, the ideas of
Yeah, and then her husband turned out to be on an island for that, and for reasons that are never really discussed until Ultra. And even then, it's only vaguely glanced over. Look, I love Sun and Moon story a lot more than Ultra's, but even I'll admit there were plenty of flaws with it. Granted, Ultra just kind of highlighted and hid them a bit more, but still.
beauty. This leads her to emotionally abuse both Lily and Gladian due to them not being beautiful enough and wanting to tear open more holes into ultra space just so she can be with Nihilego forever. Add to that her collection of cryogenically frozen Pokemon, and you have a recipe for one of Pokemon's darkest villains. How did they screw this up? It's simple. They just changed her motivations to being sympathetic. That's it. She did all that, drove her kids away, forced Nibby to rip holes in ultra space, and cryogenically froze a bunch of Pokemon forever, but her entire motivation was she wants to stop Necrozma, which makes zero sense given her...
Yeah, it kinda hard to sympathize with someone who kills kills Pokemon or whatever. Probably could have just edited that out if you wanted to make her more sympathetic. Just saying. Then again, I think a lot of the problems with Lucamine came from Pokemon just not wanting her to be that evil in general. Like, they didn't actually intend her to be comically evil to the point where no one really sympathized with her. And people just felt more bad for Lily, who had to deal with all that. Seriously, how hard is it to ride a villain who wants to fuck a space jellyfish anyways?
Insane actions are kept in, but now she's decidedly not insane or portrayed like anything more than biting off more than she can chew. After you beat her in this game, she just stops being evil. It's this declawed in over her head portrayal that Pokemon seems to want to go with going forward with Lusamine, and frankly, that's disappointing.
Oh gee, another one. How original, old Game Freak. Honestly, a more innovative character would have been a villain who just wants, who actually can control the evil Pokemon properly.
Finally, it's the opposite problem of Sindel. As an insane monster hooked on neurotoxin, Lusamine was a scarily realistic portrayal of an abusive parent driving away her kids due to horrible coping mechanisms, but it's almost like Pokemon realized that they went too dark with Lusamine and backpedaled way too much without doing enough to separate her actions from this new portrayal. I mean, at least new Lusamine isn't the worst CEO villain who miscalculates the power of a legendary they try to control. Hi, Chairman Rose. Please tell me about the supposed energy crisis in Pokemon of all.
Okay, hot take. I know I have this one a lot, but Rose could have at least been salvaged with a minor rewrite. I don't know how they could have salvaged Lusamine.
Franchises. Seriously, you have creatures that generate massive amounts of electricity. How is this an issue? Paper Jam is almost like a taboo subject for Mario and Luigi fans due to it not being a Paper Mario crossover, but rather a Sticker Star crossover. It's a shame because the gameplay is actually some of the best in the series, but man, the writing is just not there. Alpha Dream's natural sense of humor just isn't present. Look what happened to Starlo. Most fans nowadays would doubtless know Starlo as an annoying Luigi hater, but she wasn't always that shallow.
Actually, I haven't really played that much of Paper Jam, so I don't really know how much of this of Starlo's character was assassinated, honestly. And maybe Josh will might line this, but I don't know, maybe I just need to finish Sticker Star or Paper Jam or whatever it is to actually really get it.
In Bowser's Inside Story, she's a captain who steers the titular living ship and can take command as a bossy yet slick negotiator, convincing the Koopa King to aid the bros without him knowing it. Even when she does make fun of Luigi, she does show some leniency for him eventually. Plus, you can't fully blame her for having a poor first impression of him when he sleeps in the middle of an important meeting. And in Dream Team, honestly, she does so much work taking care of Luigi outside of the dream world that I can't remember any instance of her being remotely mean to him. Even if she can be a smart aleck, she's still wise enough to read the room and takes things seriously. Paper Jam threw all that out the window, made her into one joke: hating Luigi for no reason. It's bad enough that she's the only non-mainline character left here. They just had to make her as unlikable as possible because it can't seem to get through their heads that bullying Luigi constantly is not funny. Even when Luigi goes solo in this game, she still can't stop breathing down his neck. Could you imagine if she spoke to Bowser like this in Inside Story? I don't think the adventure would even start. There's this preconception that Nintendo likes hating Luigi. But if you look at the evidence, I'm not entirely sure that's true. Alpha Dream certainly cared about Luigi, since the first 4 Mario and Luigi games gave him a lot of time to shine. Sure, he kept getting knocked around, but something good always came out of it for him in the end. Heck, the series has his name on it for crying out loud. And And even if the Year of Luigi was a flop, Nintendo still didn't give up on his protagonist spotlight. If Luigi's Mansion 3 is any indication, Brothership even gave us a partner who actively respects him and loves his company. For each time he's treated like a joke, there are always real moments of stardom that show there are people behind the scenes who are willing to give him the respect he deserves. Now, I think the real culprit here is Intelligent Systems. Just about every Paper Mario game finds an excuse to kick Luigi in the head without any justice behind it. It's only until Paper Jams and the stink lines become crystal clear, from how ungrateful the Paper Toads are to Starla being reduced to Kirsty 2.0. Insys, if there's still a heart in your team, apologize to Green Stash, make good stories again, and stay away from Alpha Dream's daughter!
Oh yeah, here comes the funny part.
I wish to complain about these people. I witnessed not half a day ago in the
Ah, man.
M.
I love fucking
Oh yes, that's
skirt sketch.
Adam. What's wrong with them? I'll tell you what's wrong with them. They're dead. That's what's wrong with them. No, they's evolved. Look, mate.
I mean, when you complain about the Metroid Other M so much, you kind of have to find new ways to actually talk about it. I think Josh kind of... I think Josh found a way to actually... found creative ways to actually do it. Yeah, can't words.
When I see them, and I'm looking at them right now. No, they's not dead. There's better. Better? Yeah, remarkable bonds, Samus and Adam. Wonderful kinship, ain't it? The kinship comes off as abuse. They're stone dumb. No, there's better. All right then, there's better. I'll ask him this. Hello, Adam. Act like the competent leader the story treats you as and the respectable person Samus thinks you are. There, he just did. No, he didn't. That was him splitting up troops. He never. Yes, he did. He never made dumb commands. Hello, Samus. Testing. Authorized. Please go into the pyrosphere naked. That's what I call some dead character. No, they's hurt. Hurt? Yeah, you didn't get them. Just dealing with issues, Samus and Adam. Real complex. No, look, mate, I definitely had enough of this. These characters are certainly deceased. And when I bought Other M not half a day ago, you assured me that this game would redefine Samus as a fully three-dimensional and human character we would like. Well, you probably just misunderstood. Just misunderstood? What kind of talk is that? Look, why did Samus keep trusting Adam after he let her scorch? Well, Samus prefers taking orders from her superiors, remarkable lasses, and gave us lovely story. Look, I took the liberty of playing the previous entries before this one. And Samus was perfectly fine doing everything by her lonesome without Adam needing to authorize her upgrades. Well, of course she takes orders. If Adam wasn't there, she would have gone to the powerbomb early, dropped it on the ground, and boom! Look, mate. Samus would have boomed the whole place because she's not a dunce.
I mean, to be fair, she does kind of blow shit up at the end of every game, so it's kind of a valid argument. Emphasis on kinda.
It's bleeding demised. No, it's pining. There's not pining. There's passed on. These characters are no more. They have ceased to be. They's expired and gone to meet his maker. They shuffled off his mortal coil, run down the curtain, and joined the bleeding choir invisible. These are ex-characters. Well, I better record them then. Want to get a good Metroidvania in this day and age, I gotta head to the indie scene. So, Squire, I've had a look around the back of the place and we just killed the franchise. I see, I get the picture. Want a spin-off? But is it good? Not really. Well, it's hardly a proper follow-up, is it?
Classic. I mean, it did ultimately continue, and Adam did sort of get better. I mean, is it really getting better if he was replaced by the different by a spy or whatever? I really need to finish Metroid Dread. Oh boy, this entry. I may or may not have a bit of a hot take for this one too.
Oh, Penelope, you show so much promise. Between being Sly's second female ally and Bentley's better half, you are destined for great things. It's a shame what careless direction in the name of brave storytelling could do to such a character. She was introduced in Sly 3 as Bentley's contact who fought Sly under the alias Black Baron. Once you beat her, she agrees to join the Cooper gang, offering them her additional expertise in machinery. She shows a lot of interest in Sly that can be interpreted as affection, which makes Bentley jealous. But despite this, she still looks out for Bentley. At the end of episode 5, the two have each other's back as they take down the whole pirate crew. And from that, romance is in the air. By the end of the game, she's stuck around to help Bentley preserve the Cooper legacy, even helping him build a time machine. How sweet. A well-developed couple of two awesome mechanics who fight through high and low for each other. Now let's look at how Sly 4 demolishes that.
This won't end well.
When you enter episode 4 of Thieves in Time, you're introduced to its main villain, the Black Knight. When you spy on them, you hear murmurs about them calling Penelope a fool, as if they had a hand in Penelope going missing. I mean, the technological nature of this villain and that logo on their chest can only tell us so much.
It's me, Cooper! Oh, son of a...
Yeah, it's Penny. She stole Bentley's time machine blueprint and gave it to her new boss, Le Paradox, aka Mr. Also, he can erase the Cooper legacy. But why would she do such a thing? Fame and fortune and that her and Bentley's potential are wasted on Sly.
Excuse me, what?
Okay, this is a bit of a hot take, but I think Penelope's, as someone who actually was also pissed at this very infamous take on her character, I also think this could have been salvaged with a minor rewrite. Like, instead of being motivated entirely by greed or shit, the whole thing could easily have been turned into a Penelope just wanting desperately to get the team back together for another heist, and it being entirely... And this is entirely motivated by just thrill-seeking gone entirely wrong. Like, you gotta remember, Penelope was a thrill junkie when they first met her, so that wouldn't entirely be out of the... Her being motivated by the wanting to get the team together again really poorly isn't exactly out of character for her. But yeah, the way they did it here is extremely sloppy and likely motivated by wanting to cash in on twist villains, which I should point out has been a lot of them are really horrifically done because a lot of people just contribute twist villains with heel turns and shit instead of, you know, proper foreshadowing and believable character motivations.
Okay. First of all, bitch, you wanted money? Sly gave you his lifelong family treasure to do with as you please. Where did it all go?
This doesn't make any sense.
Second, wasn't she going gaga over Sly all across the last game?
Sly Cooper fans, remember?
Where did this come from? What did Sly do to suddenly make Penelope hate him so much? This is one of those super unexpected twists with no basis or coherent build-up to make the story stand out, isn't it?
Well, that's just lazy writing.
Okay, there was also some stories about the development team just making Penelope look eviler and eviler in numerous designs, and just never knowing to just dial that back until it was all too late. Wasn't really that great of a design in the first place, to be honest. Felt like Folie à Deux before Folie à Deux was a thing.
Look, it didn't work with Command Mission, it's not going to work here. Plus, giving Bentley a moving on from a toxic relationship arc is so out of left field and unnecessary. Rather than adding to Bentley's character, they removed someone who could have given him more dynamics outside of just being Sly's friend. So now he's back to just being Sly's friend again. Yay!
Thanks, I hate it.
Sure, you could argue Penelope was sketchy to begin with. She is a con artist after all. But the main hero is a law-breaking chaotic good. This is unnecessary. But our main character is a good-hearted thief, so this feels out of place. Even if they want to make her a bad guy, the least they could do is give her time to fall into temptation instead of foregoing established growth just for the sake of a cheap twist. We already have Nayla and Sly 2 to fulfill the role of evil traitor bench. We don't need another one. What a mess. Considering that the game ended with Penelope escaping captivity, the best we can hope is that she gets a redemption arc in Sly 5. If that game ever happens. Maybe becoming a prominent
Yeah, we're still waiting, by the way.
Egypt? I don't know. Some fans theorize her trying to get revenge on Sly and possibly becoming Clockwork, but like, no, that just makes things worse to turn her into Nayla 2.0. Honestly, we're better off never getting Sly 5 than that happening.
Who the fuck wrote this engine?
There seems to be an ongoing trend where studios try to give a lighthearted entry in a franchise a more dark and mature tone. If handled with care, it can honestly end up pretty dang good. A masterpiece even. Or it could end up totally jarring and alienate fans of the original. QED, Prince of Persia, Warrior Within. To put things into perspective, Sands of Time took a niche game franchise that was pretty dead in the water and gave it new life with fun gameplay, story, and characterization. However, there were a few critiques that the game might have been too soft and childish. Ubisoft's response?
So give it the God of War treatment.
They overdid it hard. Like, the gameplay is pretty good, but what they did with the Prince? This one especially hurts because Sands of Time Prince is one of my favorite characters. And one half of my favorite romances. When we first met His Highness in Sands of Time, he was introspective, selfish, and sometimes arrogant, but he always meant well. He had a sharp, playful wit, often displaying humor even in dire situations. Yuri Lowenthal really brought out his expressiveness and growth. He only fought out of necessity, with acrobatic finesse and almost blasé reaction to combat. And the best part, he grew as a character. He learned humility and responsibility, seeking to undo his mistakes. And his relationship with Farah? Mwah! They had amazing chemistry that allowed him to have emotional depth and vulnerability. Warrior Within, however, says not any of that. Gone is the joy, sharp wit, and sophistication. Instead, he goes full edgelord and not the fun kind. He's
He's constantly brooding, aggressive, and cynical with an ice-cold demeanor. His dialogue is gruff and full of bitterness, completely devoid of the charisma we fell in love with. No offense to Robin Atkin Dowds, who does a better job in the third installment. But here, too much anger, not enough depth. All the lessons Prince learned in the last game, out the window. Instead of growing further as a hero, he became jaded and self-serving. He's also a complete brute in combat, gruesomely slaughtering his enemies and howling like an animal. Huge departure from the previous one. To put it bluntly, he's a total...
Yeah, honestly, this is really just a symptom of, well, gaming in the 2000s and early 2010s. It's hard to believe nowadays, but back then, gaming was never taken seriously by anybody. Like, at all. And nowadays it's different, but honestly, I think what really made it mainstream was excessive marketing and such. In other words, the reason why the AAA market has so heavily pushed towards the whole realism thing was because they desperately wanted to be taken seriously and ultimately became victims of their own success. Of course, nowadays it's different, but let me tell you, the growing pains are pretty evident.
Oh, and his romance. Sad to say, Farah doesn't appear at all in Warrior Within, except for a vision where... oofta. So they kinda tease a romance between the prince and Kylina and... ugh. Look, maybe I'm just too set in my ways, but there is no spark between these two. The relationship just feels shallow, with little effort to develop meaningful connections and just, ooh, boobies. Honestly, if this didn't directly reference Sands of Time, I would not believe they were the same character. They turned a poetic, fairy tale-like adventure in the Arabian Nights into a grimdark edgelord aesthetic with heavy metal music and excessive violence. This shift was so forced and out of place, and the prince suffered the most from it. It's especially painful because we're stuck with him for most of the game. I really hate the mentality where making a character mature and adult means sucking the fun out of them, because that couldn't be further from the truth. Personally, I'll stick with my funny, emotionally developed, childish prince over the edgy big boy any day of the week.
Word.
That's right, people. It's gonna be a Xehanort segment. Stick around for the fun. There's the progress bar. No one would blame you.
Don't blame it. Don't care.
You said nobody would blame me.
It's called sarcasm. Okay, hey, aspiring writers. Are you looking to assassinate your entire rogues gallery? No. Well, unluckily for you, Kingdom Hearts has provided a 13-step program on how to do so. Follow it closely, and you too can completely wipe out any and all interest your audience ever had in your villains. Step 1. Introduce a perfectly good villain with a solid backstory. Then kill off said villain in a satisfactory way without any indication that they will return. Step 2. Introduce new villains with clearly established motives while hinting at a greater villain they plan to betray. Step 3. Completely retcon the original villain's backstory, thus robbing them of their interesting motives and turning them into a generic bad guy. Step 4. Introduce a new villain, an alternate version of the previous one, with a compelling motive and satisfactory backstory. Then perform equally satisfactory defeat without any indication that they will return. Step 5. Introduce the original version of the first villain in an attempt to clear things up. Step 6. Make things way more complicated by revealing that said original was actually possessing someone the whole time and lost his memory. Step 7. Introduce a younger version of the original villain whose only purpose is to act vague and mysterious. Step 8. Reveal that the villain had the ability to use time travel this entire time with no build-up. Step 9. Reveal that the motives of the previous villain were false the entire time, therefore undoing any sympathy the audience may have had for them. Step 10. Reveal that the original is back due to lore that was never established or alluded to beforehand. Step 11. Turn the previous traitors into just more versions of the main villains. Step 12. Reveal that the main villain was just a misunderstood good guy the whole time. Step 13. Attempt to expand on the villain's backstory to make them more sympathetic long after the audience has grown sick of them. So yeah, pretty simple. Oh
yeah, side note. Kingdom Hearts fans tend to be the most annoying when it comes to accessibility. They always claim that the story is so easy to understand, or there's easy ways to play all the games. Yeah, here's the problem. Xehanort literally destroys any semblance of those arguments. And worse yet, Kingdom Hearts fans are 100% aware of this. It's also why it's very hard for me to actually get into the games. Casual fans will have a hard time understanding. Hardcore fans have to shill money just to understand basic plot elements. It's basically everything I hate about comic book tie-ins, just amped to 11. Freaking hell.
Coming up after the dishonorable mentions, I'll show you how to assassinate your entire cast! Patrick Spriggs, Mega Man Star Force 2 and 3. Hey, let's make a complex character with DID who suffers from neglect and throw his arc in the bin for the rest of the series. Reincarnated Awakening Children, Fire Emblem Fates. They're technically different characters, but they're still the fanfic-ish copies that reduce the originals to a shell of themselves. Fuck you, Rajat! Junko Enoshima, Danganronpa series. Think something clever's hidden behind that zany persona? Too bad, she's just a punchline, and the writers will never let her die. Deadpool, the Deadpool game. It's sad that the game blatantly ignored the tragic side of his character in favor of memes. So, the question remains, how do you mess up so badly that the entire cast gets assassinated and flanderized beyond recognition? It sounds practically impossible, like you need some sort of magician to pull it off.
I mean, he has a magician kink. That's, that counts, right? Yeah, I should probably give context to that joke. Okay, there was this one time Randy Pitchford went to, I believe it was a medieval restaurant. You know, the ones with the jousting shows and shit. Okay, so he had to... So apparently someone left he apparently left a flash drive with porn on it. Yeah, it was porn. Okay, so the reason why, and when asked why he even had this, Randy said, and I quote, "I wanted to try and figure out how it worked because that girl squirts like a fucking magician." I did not make any part of that up. Randy's story is just that fucking batshit insane. I didn't really... Yeah, crap. Anyways.
Borderlands, just what happened to you? prior to Borderlands 3, this series managed to blend comedically dark psychopathy with an actually compelling narrative centered around corporate greed, child abuse, and the fact that Pandora is just the worst place to ever exist in. Come Borderlands 3, and everything familiar gets thrown out the window in favor of haha, funny means funny, awkward, self-aware humor. How bad is it? Well, like previously stated, every single character has been butchered. If you know anything about this game, you may have heard that Ava is the worst character in this game. But believe it or not, she's not even in the running for how poor this game's character writing is. Throw her out the window here because she's at least consistent and has an actual character. Okay, let's start at the start of the game. Problems first arise when you meet Vaughn from Tales of the Borderlands. In that game, he was an intelligent, frugal businessman who was forced to adapt to Pandora's Pandora-ness by becoming a bandit. Here, he's an annoying dude bro, constantly spouting catchphrases, and he does not shut up. Then you meet Tannis, who had her comedic insanity and shades of tragedy from being abandoned on this planet to a quirky little random god scientist who ends up somehow cracking the code on giving herself siren powers and then gets kidnapped anyway because potatoes. Oh, let's not forget Reese, the protagonist of the first Tales. The man whose entire character arc was to grow past his idolization of Handsome Jack and commit himself to never being a greedy, selfish businessman. And in 3 and Tales 2, he is, guess. Go on, guess. Your first guess is correct. A greedy, selfish businessman whose biggest concern about a death later pointed at his planet is his favorite frozen yogurt stand because jokes.
Say goodbye to your favorite Frogurt stand.
Not France, Frogurt, anything but France, Frogurt.
It gets to a point where entire factions of people are completely changed without regard for anything that came before. Remember how the various bandit factions were all completely separate entities, often warring with each other? It could be at least taken a little seriously? Borderlands 3 says, oops, all psychos. They're all generalized into wacky maniacs who blindly follow the Calypsos, regardless of any previous alignment. The planet of Pandora itself ain't even safe. A horrifying death world with various biomes populated by actual settlements trying to survive? It's just all desert now.
Okay, in fairness of that one, it's probably just development wanting to cheap out. But yeah, that still kind of sucks.
Everyone you find is just a random one-off funny encounter with no actual permanent settlements aside from psycho camps, and I think you get the point now. The first set of Borderlands games tried to create a world that was equally as tragic as it was funny. For all the comedic sociopathy in these games, there was an actual attempt to build a believable world that you could take seriously and see develop, and also laugh at things in it. Post 3, all of that was thrown away in favor of dumbing down everything in this franchise to scream at the top of their lungs every unfunny joke after unfunny joke. It's really telling that Tales of the Borderlands 2 was written not as a story to take seriously, but by the writer's own admission as an interactive sitcom. A complete destruction of everything that came before. What happened to the Borderlands series is an incalculable disaster of character writing. I'm Josh Scorcher, and... hey, Count.
Hi. I'll use the front door this time.
Aw, look at you, finally learning basic etiquette. So what are you here for?
Mario Man!
So yeah, that was the top 10 character assassinations. Very fun to just wind down with stuff like this. But yeah, I suppose we can also do the first of the Mario Month videos since that just got plugged. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Green.
This video is brought to you by Redneck Engineer, custom-built gaming PCs and parts for an affordable price. Use code JoshScorcher at checkout for a 5% discount. And make sure you don't have any coupon clipping extensions like Honey installed or I don't get my commission. Thank you!
Okay, here we go. Mario Month. How are we gonna kick this off?
Worst games!
Are you sure? I mean, opening the month off with a negative countdown is...
Worst games!
Did you play these?
I won't be a Mario connoisseur if I didn't, would I?
How bleak was your childhood?
It's me, Mario!
Mario is a humongous franchise. No video game IPs out there can quite boast a compendium of games anywhere near the same scale as the one with the red plumber on it. And that's not even counting the branch spin-offs led by other characters in the series.
With over 200 games in its legacy, it's a no-brainer that there's going to be a handful of stinkers. Enough to make a top 10 on its own even. When it comes to actually measuring what makes a bad Mario game though, it's complicated. We're looking for games that are either badly made, aka too poorly designed to be fun, or just plain soulless. Like one that's put together with recycled assets and shoved out for a quick buck.
Thing is, most of these games work. They aren't glitchy, unplayable messes. At worst, they're a 4 out of 10. But they ultimately go against what makes Mario good. They're just not fun. And that's what's important here. If some of the games we listed do have some fun to them, even ironically, then they're going to be graded lower than those that just suck out our souls playing them. And yes, this applies to the edutainment games too. After all, if it's not fun, why bother?
Let's dumpster dive into some of Mario's all-time
yes.
garbage.
Wonder what they're gonna start with.
Nice of Nintendo to invite us over for a Mario
classic.
game, eh, Josh?
I hope they made lots of RPG mechanics.
Josh, look! It's their regurgitated leftovers.
Gee, it kinda sucks.
Yep, we're starting with the one, the only Hotel Mario. When Philips developed the CDI, their own attempt at stretching into the console market, Nintendo gave them the rights to a few of their IPs to develop exclusive games for the console. And history was made!
Oh man, I used to watch a lot of YouTube poops back in the day. The cutscenes may suck, but holy hell are they so much fun to meme on. I consider Hotel Mario to be sort of a double-edged sword.
Elephant in the room aside, how does it play? Well, it plays. It resembles more of a gimmicky arcade game than a standard Mario fare. In every level...
Yeah, really, Hotel Mario isn't really terrible. It's just unabashedly mediocre. Aside from the cutscenes. And honestly, I think being mediocre is probably the worst crime you could commit as a Mario game.
Level, you go through each floor, dodge enemies, and close doors. That's the game. Inoffensive, but relatively unimpressive.
But these cutscenes, man, these cutscenes are rough. It's no wonder that it sold so poorly that Philips' licensing deal was instantly revoked, and any plans for future games were canceled. If you wonder why Nintendo is so protective of their games being on other systems, yeah, this is why.
It's been one of those days.
The silly movements and janky voices definitely gave us a lot of material to swoosh together and laugh at.
The game itself isn't even that bad. It's simple but charming in its own off-brand way. Definitely not worse than the Zelda ones. Really, the biggest problem with it is that it's on the CDI, and only the CDI. If you're not willing to fork up your life savings to get it on eBay, trying to play this game any other way takes way more technical work than necessary. For the kind of game that it is, it's just not worth the hassle unless you're some kind of devout historian. And you all thought you had it bad with Switch 2.
The game's cutscenes, as jarring, off-model, and cheap as they are, they're probably the only reason anybody even
remembers Hotel Mario in the first place. The gameplay is a big ball of nothing interesting, and all the memey goodness of the cutscenes is available online anyway and have been remixed and YouTube pooped to the point where actually sitting down to play the game gives you nothing noteworthy.
Now for the next entry on the list.
Come, my fellow viewers, sit down while I tell you a story of the blandification of Mario. This era began in the early 2010s when Nintendo thought they'd finally gotten Mario figured out. Hence, most games at the time just followed the baseline of what makes Mario familiar without pushing any boundaries. Galaxy 2 and 3D Land got away with just recycling ideas from previous titles. The RPGs traded their unique world and characters for the same old. And of course, the money printer that is the new Super Mario Bros. Sequels.
New Super Mario Bros. 2 was the game that got a good chunk of the community to realize, oh, Nintendo's selling out. Now sure, we can say whatever we want about.
I mean, to be fair, the first new Super Mario Brothers was kinda okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was okay. I had fun with it. It's not really anything right home over though.
About U and its deluxe version, but at least those tried to freshen up the fun. 2 didn't even try.
Considering it's the third title in the new Super Mario series and they just called it 2, it's already a bad start. Friggin' liars.
More so considering it has the nerve to call itself new when there's barely anything new about it. Over half the level designs are just rehashed from previous better titles. Even the music is just the same thing but with more bass. How original.
Actually, it's Pa. It's the same sample they used in Mario 64. Oh, did you know that Umineko also used it?
Boss, I'm the obscure facts about Mario guy here.
You gave me this line to say!
Ouch. I said it in my worst Mario bosses and I'm saying it here. The Koopalings suck. At this point we get way too much of them and they never bring anything fresh to the table. Just like the rest of the game.
Well, that's not completely true. It does one thing new. Oh, were you worried you weren't getting enough coins in a Mario game? No problem! New Super Mario Bros. 2 has coins coming out the frickin' wazoo! To the point where they have golden enemies that give you more coins!
Oh wow, it's self-aware that it's a cash grab, guys. That's so charming it makes me want to spawn a triple banana without looking.
Okay, in the spirit of fairness, it's not terrible enough to put higher on the list. Like, if it's someone's first Mario game, they'd probably have fun with it. It's generic, it's gimmicky, it just kind of makes us mad because it plays it safe and recycles what worked. The internet was too harsh on you.
I mean, Wonder was pretty good. Only because it actually did something with the new Super Mario Brothers formula.
Spin-offs. Nintendo's got them, from Pokemon to Kirby to Metroid. They're, okay, so logically if Mario gives it a shot, it should be a masterpiece too, right? Am I playing a prototype of Sonic Spinball?
That is somehow still slower. Okay, yeah, Pinball Land isn't great. The game is basically a Mario-style adventure with flippers. You go around each room of a level, complete missions, get stars, and beat bosses. On paper, it looks like a lot of fun. The game looks great aesthetically, the music's awesome, and there's so much variety when it comes to items, enemies, and bosses.
I mean, you can't exactly have a franchise without a pinball spin-off. Even Metroid had one. Don't know if that game was any good, though. Never actually played it.
That it came really close to being a great game.
Sadly, all it takes is implementing your core mechanic poorly to ruin everything. Simply put, Mario, as a ball, just moves too fast. The precision required to hit him is practically lightning, to the point where missions straight up feel luck-based. And if you fail or get sent back a room, you have to work your way back into wherever you came from and reset whatever mission you were doing. Fun.
Now fortunately, the game is nice enough to give you a pipe to barricade the pit, but even that didn't stick around for too long. The combination of stiff gameplay and severe penalties just makes the game way more frustrating than it's worth.
Oh, you bet it comes together in the boss fights. While Petey and Toot and Koopa are simple enough, King Boo, Porcupuffer, and Bowser make you juggle a lot of mechanics around on top of the cheap penalty.
Personally, I do have a bit of a soft spot for this game. I don't think a pinball adventure game is completely dead in the water as a concept. The game felt like it only needed to be tweaked a bit for it to be a good one. That aside, I am charmed enough by it to complete it and get every single star as a kid.
You were way too patient.
Not really. I'm just always at peace when playing games that got my interest back then. Surely you can relate.
Hey, that's not exactly the... Okay, it's exactly the same.
The great thing about Mario Party spin-offs is that they're allowed to go against the series norm and do their own thing without people getting on their case too much. Even if the gameplay can be hit or miss, there's always something interesting and creative about them that's worth looking back fondly to.
And then there's this game, which is just Wii Party, but bad.
Why is the UI exactly like Mario Party 9?
Mario Party Island Tour is what happens when Nintendo thought they had something going with Mario Party 9 and decided to make it worse. And a lot going for it with the 3DS's unique features. Even had the most amount of mini-games on any Mario Party to date. But they range from gimmicky to badly designed. Okay, there are some good ones, but, you know, monkeys with typewriters.
The normal flow is a race on a linear board with some tasks you need to complete along the way. And for some reason, these tasks are just expanded version of the bonus stars you will get at the end of the boards anyway. Why did they make a fun bonus into a tedious chore? There is literally a board where you need to land on specific tiles the most. And I thought hunting sombrero guys in Paper Jam sucks.
The lack of polish for this game is very evident. It feels less like a work of art and more like the devs just threw things together from their back pocket to see what sticks. It honestly feels like a strong trend for this area of Mario, especially on the 3DS.
To be fair, there are some things to like here. There's a surprising amount of good dialogue, especially if you play as Bowser Jr. and meet his dad. Also, the choice's voice is just a riot.
Take linear levels, boring minigames, and questionable design choices, and you get this mess. Even Final Fantasy XIII fans will have a hard time defending it. But at least they didn't give us a Mario Party with just minigames, right? Right?
Foreshadowing is a literary device.
In his prime, Mario always knew how to nail every ball in the court with solid gameplay that gets more interesting with each title. But over time, it felt like they ran out of gas. Not so much that they were terrible, but they just kind of fell apart.
And then came the peak of Mario Sports throwing in the towel. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Spoiler alert, the box and discard are the most exciting parts of the whole thing.
I mean, it did give us a really good Scott the Woz episode.
I'll say this, the graphics look nice at least.
And that's all we really can say because the rest of the game is a big ol' nothing sandwich. No extra modes, no boss fights, nothing. There's barely any difference between the arenas other than the colors. How thrilling.
And the big gimmick here is the big gimmick. Mega Battle modes made you a Titan in the court, and that's it. Seriously, look at some of the other Mario Tennis titles. The Game Boy Advance version had mini-games, and 64 gave us
Waluigi!
Heck, the Game Boy Color title had a story mode and RPG mechanics. Let me repeat that. Game Boy did more than this high-budget modern console title.
Oh yeah, the Game Boy Mario sports games. I actually played the golf game back as a kid, and I actually really fucking loved it. From what I can tell, the Mario sport titles from the Game Boy were actually recycling different RPGs, though don't really know which ones they were, so take that information where you will.
The NSMB2 of Mario sports games. You'll like it fine if it's your first one, but it's only uphill from there. Aces at least got back on track with having more going for it, but it's still a far cry from what the series is normally able to do. Come on, Mario. I know you can ball harder than this. Pop quiz. What do you think of when you hear Mario Party Top 100?
Ooh, a celebration of the franchise across 100 boards?
Ha! You wish. It's 100 minigames and one board.
I spent no money and I still feel ripped off. Popping up near the tail end of the 3DS's career, Mario Party Top 100 promised to celebrate one of the franchise's most iconic spin-off game genres. How? By bundling together 100 of the series' best minigames.
Ah yes, Tug of War, Slot Car Derby, Crank to Rank, Heat Stroke, and Button Mashers. Only the real heavy hitters. Seriously? Where's Aces High, Crazy Cutters, Running of the Ball, Dungeon Duos, or Circuit Maximus? You know, the actual top tier minigames? I mean, sure, we got ones like Hexagon Heat and Booksquirm, but this is the top 100, not top 70 or 60 something.
Yay for false advertising! Not to mention, the minigames have these really unnecessary changes like messing with the physics for bumper balls and bombs away. Like, I can see the attempt to make these more fair and engaging, but their attempts to fix it just made things worse.
Not only are there no minigames from the handheld titles, but won't it make more sense to have like 10 minigames from each major title instead of 17 from 5 and only 3 from 8? At least make it somewhat even if they're gonna justify putting mediocre ones in here.
And then there's the board. There's only one, and it's a watered-down Star Rush. Items, models, gimmicks, all recycled. We only get 8 characters to play with and no DK or Birdo. See, the point is the mini-games. They're the star of the show here. But is there really any point in playing a compilation of them when there isn't anything at stake? Without any boards or engaging game modes, the game feels no different than any other bland shovelware that's just a pointless minigame collection. Even if they're fun, they're gonna get boring after a while. There's a reason they're relegated to the side content in the mainline games.
This one's especially disappointing because it's meant to be a tribute to one of Mario's flagship spin-offs, and instead it just feels uneven and stupid easy. I guess given the series' track record at the time, the devs struggled trying to do it right anyway. And besides, Superstars and to an extent Jamboree made this game pointless by giving us better minigame compilations while having actual game modes. Coupled with the 3DS on its way out shortly after, and we have one Mario Party guaranteed to kill the fun.
Hey Count, it's time for your decade supply of Mario's early years!
Help me!
Yep, Mario doesn't just do
Nice.
sports, karting,
Count turned into
medicine,
those Kirby
he's a teacher
villains.
too.
Congratulations, you made it!
And his career is, interesting, but who says we can't have fun with it? They call it edutainment for a reason. Look at early years for one. It teaches you colors, numbers, and letters, all through a chock full of exciting game modes like, clicking on random crap, or headbutting objects while characters pop out of nowhere and cheer for you.
I like your choice.
What the f is that?
Oh, that's just one of our incredible selection of cheerleaders like Creepy Dwarf Goomba, Bowser holding an ice cream, Koopa Troopa,
a slim fit condom,
Floating Heads, some guy,
Oh, boss
and
spotted.
a flower.
Why do they look like that?
Good question. Studies show that kids are surprisingly tolerant of the uncanny valley compared to adults. Hence, the art director never had to worry about letting a mishmash of art styles, bizarre sprite work, and robotic voice lines make up the whole aesthetic of the game.
I thought it's the opposite.
Hey, they hired child development specialists when making this game, so it just works, okay?
The only people who'd enjoy this are adults on acid.
Well, you must have taken acid to start.
Okay, to be fair, with apparently child development specialists' knowledges back then were pretty limited, so could be different nowadays. Although I do believe the kids' tolerance of the uncanny valley, it does kind of ring true. I mean, let's face it, they have very active imaginations. It is now the realm of possibility.
Start showing that kind of attitude, young man. Oh, don't cry, little shaman. Uncle Josh has enough low-hanging fruit to feed your entire life. Ari, bring on the DOS versions. Count's hungry.
while, there was a debate about which was the real Mario sequel between the Japanese Lost Levels and the American Mario 2. Yeah, we're not gonna hold our breath. Mario 2 is the better and definite sequel. Say what you will about 2 being a reskin, it still introduced plenty of series mainstays. And, you know, it's actually a good...
Yeah, I never did understand the whole Doki Doki Panic isn't the real Super Mario Bros. 2 crowd. Your other option was literally a prototype Kaizo hack. And you're literally complaining about a game that I should point out Nintendo also made, being deemed the Mario Brothers 2. Should I also remind that crowd that if the Lost Levels actually did come out in the States, the game industry would never have recovered, like, at all. They were kind of right to treat Doki Doki Panic as a sequel to the original Mario Brothers.
Good game? What did Lost Levels bring into the table?
Yay, pain!
At the time, most devs didn't really know how to implement fair difficulty in games. A lot of them made...
Yeah, that's also a factor. Difficulty in the NES era was drastically different from difficulty in the modern era. I should also point out that our concept of what hard in a video game actually looks like was only shaped because of different aspects of what a hard game would actually be considered. I mean, I personally like to thank Kirby's Epic Yarn for actually presenting that type of argument for what a hard game would actually constitute, since, well, Kirby's Epic Yarn isn't hard per se. Completing it is an entirely different beast altogether. Man, I really need to play Epic Yarn sometime. There's some really good things about that game.
made things completely ridiculous on purpose in order to inflate playtime. This is one of those times. If the nonsensical platforming and enemy placements weren't enough, you got lots of routes that require hidden blocks or jumping on enemies to cross over. Don't even bother with warp zones either, because they either don't take you far at all or send you back. It feels like a predecessor to those Kaizo Mario hacks that are intended to actively piss streamers off.
And it's not like it tries to ease you into the difficulty either. The first mushroom you come across is an instant death trap. While obvious in All-Stars, it barely looks different in the original. Keep in mind, this was on the Famicom, with no kind of saving or passwords. Even outside of that, the game doesn't really do enough to improve and innovate on the previous formula. All there is are Luigi's mainstay controls, which are not handled well here, and a weather system which, let's be honest, nobody wants.
Yeah, sure, you can argue that Mega Man also recycled assets, but Mega Man was a yearly sequel machine, which was pretty hard to actually grasp nowadays, but back in the day, Mega Man was practically the Call of Duty of the NES era.
Won't be a problem if the levels actually supported these mechanics, but
much crap as I gave Galaxy 2 back in the day, it never felt like I was actively trying to waste your time. Heck, I'll take that easiest crap post-game over this one's any day. Seriously, did they even care when they made these? Even Nintendo Power themselves didn't try to sugarcoat things during their 25th anniversary retrospective.
In the end, I think we can safely say that these levels were lost for a good reason. Early years definitely shows that Mario doesn't do edutainment all that well. So if you can't even count on Mario to teach you numbers and alphabets, how the hell is he gonna teach you history?
Mario's Time Machine is Mario's worst edutainment, and it's not even close. Oh, but we're not talking about the DOS version with Malio in it, though that isn't much better either. We're talking about the SNES version. Do not be deceived by how much nicer it looks, because it's somehow worse!
While getting from point A to point B in the DOS game is at least simple enough, this one doesn't tell you anything. You just grab an artifact, figure out how to use the time machine, and then play a surfing minigame. You have to
Yeah, Carmen Sandiego this game was not. Because Carmen Sandiego, at the very least, he's what actually had, like, cliff notes and all that jazz to actually let you know what was going on. Or at the very least was actually encouraging you to do research on various topics. I mean, the whole game was basically a roleplay of you trying to catch a spy, so one could even argue that Carmen Sandiego was your best introduction into RPGs. Yeah, I went there.
collect 10 mushrooms and go into a whirlpool to get to where you need to be.
What's that? That sounds stupid and needlessly complicated? Why, yes, but does the game at least tell you how to do this? Nope, back then you either figured it out by accident or looked up the instruction manual.
Okay, seriously, if you need a manual to play an edutainment game, then you might as well just read an actual history book.
And that's not even talking about the meat and potatoes of the game. The whole thing is just a series of Q&As to fill up a questionnaire before you can deliver artifacts back to their respective historical figures. Oh yeah, that questionnaire, by the way, you can...
Yeah, I should also remind people that Mario's Missing had a objective where you had to return King Kong to the Empire State Building. And yeah, just want to throw that little factoid out there.
Fail it. And just to make it worse, each question has a monument of answers to pick from. If you can't figure out how to play the game, then good luck not dying of boredom brute forcing it with all these safeguards intact. Probably still better than dying of boredom playing the game properly.
But oh, even those potatoes are small compared to what comes next. You wanna know the worst thing about this game? The real reason it's this high? It has multiple endings. Yes, I am dead serious. If you don't beat the game fast enough, Bowser escapes into his own paradise. You can lose this game. Like, it's not enough that the mechanics are complicated, it has to treat itself like an exam. What? Isn't the whole point of edutainment is to learn while having fun? How is this fun? How is demanding that you beat a game with 15 10-question questionnaires with 100 answers per question to choose from as fast as possible fun? Why do history lessons always have to have the most tedious format imaginable that's completely counterintuitive to a good learning experience?
Hey, calm down. It's all in the past, man. It's all in the past. Hey, why don't you go watch up Bill Nye while I wrap this up? The only reason this isn't number one is because it's ultimately inconsequential to Mario as a franchise. It's just another edutainment game that comes and goes, so regardless of how painfully designed it is, it's virtually meaningless. Assuming you're not the poor soul who grew up playing with it with little to no help, of course. Number one, however, is beyond any strings attached. Mario Tennis Virtual Boy would have been a serviceable prototype for the series' future if my eyes weren't burning looking at it.
Super Mario Party, Switch. Everything feels smaller in scale, from content to board size to economy. Say what you will about 9 and 10, at least they try to stand out.
Mario is missing SNES. Sure, some of the stuff it teaches isn't even correct, but the serene atmosphere made it oddly pleasant?
Mario Kart Core, mobile. The release version would have been on the actual list. Thankfully, the content it's got now has long redeemed it.
Mario teaches typing DOS. Pretty meh for an entertainment, but it did give us Mario Head, for better or worse.
Mario Strikers Battle League, Switch. You know, Mario actually made me care about football. It's a real shame that couldn't last.
Did you just call soccer football?
Americans.
Part of Nintendo's design philosophy is to avoid doing the same thing, to constantly innovate. For the most part, this code has served them well. However, there's a major flaw. Their idea of innovation only applies to gameplay and mechanics. When it comes to story and world, they seldom take risks, especially when Miyamoto's eyes are on the project. So without a fresh story to be engrossed by, when the oh-so-innovative gameplay doesn't pay off, there's not much else the game can stand on. That's why Super Paper Mario is still loved today, while Star Fox Zero is left to rot.
Screw you! I worked really hard on those! Appreciate me!
But even Mario eventually had to learn this lesson the hard way.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paper Mario Sticker Star.
And somewhere out there, Checker Conroy cringes.
Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Sticker Star gets way too much hate. It really isn't that bad of a game, right? I mean, look at it. It's so beautiful and vibrant. The soundtrack is excellent. The paper-based aesthetic looks so good. If you put aside the lack of great storytelling and core RPG elements, the game should still be perfectly enjoyable. No, you don't get it. It looks harmless, like it couldn't hurt a fly. But it breaks so many rules, ignores so many fundamental aspects of a good gameplay loop, that even if you take away the disappointment factor, this game still sucks.
We all know the gist by now. The story is just Bowser kidnaps Peach again, with no twists or flair. RPG or not, that's shallower than we're used to. Next to no new characters, so the world is boring. You can win fights by running away, etc., etc. It's a sack of crap that just can't settle with dragging Paper Mario into the mud. Had to take Mario and Luigi down with it too. It's flavorless, like the other games in the blandification era. That's to be expected. What really turned the tide, however, the real reason it's worse than all the other ones, is that the overall gameplay severely lacks intuition.
Areas like World 2, 3, and 5 are filled to the brim with backtracking and arbitrary puzzle solving. You know, the things people complain about with Thousand Year Door and Super, the parts fans specifically don't like? Yeah, that's this whole game.
Exploring isn't fun since it's not clear where you're supposed to go a lot of the time. Puzzles require specific stickers to solve, so heaven forbid you use them up in a fight, because then you gotta grind wherever or exit the world just to get them back. And the boss fights? You straight up can't beat half of them unless you have their specific weaknesses. And when you do, they become a total cakewalk. These aren't boss fights, they're glorified locked doors you gotta pry open.
You know what this feels like? A college assignment. The devs make this world that you're meant to explore and figure out on your own, but then get criticized by their lecturers for being too vague. So how do they solve this problem? Kirsty. Her purpose is to tell you how to do the most basic things the game somehow couldn't make clear. Never mind that she's obnoxious as all fuck. Never mind that she doesn't say anything useful half the time or takes too long to start doing so. Never mind that it makes no sense why she won't know how to do things the intended way. As long as she's there, the game gets a passing grade for kind of telling you where to go.
On top of that, the game feels so anti-RPG. Like, it's made to resemble Paper Mario as much as possible, but the actual gameplay does everything in its power to avoid core RPG elements in favor of a dysfunctional action-adventure style game.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If the game played like Super Paper Mario, I don't think this game really would have been as hated as it actually was. Granted, fans wouldn't really care for it still, but they consider it more of a spin-off title than an actual Paper Mario game, so it just kind of exists. But of course, that's not what happened.
Gameplay. I think the best way I can put it is that it feels dishonest. Like, even with Super, you could tell there's a genuine passion to try something different. But here, it's just business charts the game. Like if it was made with modern-day generative AI. A lot of this could be attributed to the questionnaire Nintendo sent out for feedback on what they gotta do for a new Paper Mario at the time. Because of how poorly executed that was, they didn't reach the proper crowd to get the right answers. So rather than being nuanced about it, it seems like they just went whatever and balled the final product.
You might think we're being too harsh, but trust me, this is painful. This is not how you design puzzles, and this is not how you do freeform exploration. The only way you'd actually have a good time with this is if you got mad lucky with your resources or have a guide at already. But that's like the exact thing Time Machine is guilty of, and you already know what I think of that blight on entertainment.
And the sad part is, the game actually does have some redeemable elements. Look at World 4. It's good level design, easy enemies that reward you handsomely, and some genuinely good puzzles and minigames. If the rest of the game was this easy to follow, we would have put it way lower.
The game has its fans. We don't deny that. Some people do genuinely get a kick out of the unorthodox way the game plays. And that's fine. All the games on this list hit the mark for someone in some way. It goes to show, even as much as we rib at these games, there's an attempt behind each of them to make something interesting, even if some of those things aren't all that exciting or just plain weird.
So, yeah, my opinion is card-based RPG mechanics are kinda bad. They're bad. Like, sure, games have ultimately tried to make it work, but it just never does. Mainly because the games tend to be designed around the RPG with card mechanics added rather than a card game that just happens to be an RPG. I mean, there are some games that actually got it to work. I mean, I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of Roses, despite its numerous flaws. And, well, I also really loved the... Let's see, what was it called? Oh yeah, Chrono Cross also had a card-based RPG mechanics with the element system. Probably one of the few times it actually worked, and ironically enough, it's probably one of the wasn't really was trying to streamline having like several characters in the game at once. Like, I didn't think any of them have including arcs. But say la vie. But yeah, needless to say, card-based RPGs tend to suck.
So regardless of how awful these games are, there's no shame in liking them. Hell, I love my fair share of bad Mario games too. A big reason I really
hey,
want to
Melination,
do
sorry, I
this
didn't
job
notice you
is so
there.
that I get to talk about this niche of mine.
It's actually because our staff is getting tired of boss countdowns, but sure, whatever tickles your fancy. Let's just be glad that Nintendo is more willing to take smarter risks with Mario nowadays. We may be getting fewer games, but if it means we can get stuff like Odyssey, Bowser's Fury, Wonder, and Brothership more often, then who are we to rush them?
Sticker Star will remain a scar that damaged the legacy of Mario RPGs and Nintendo's philosophy forever. But as long as there are those who listen and are willing to amend the sins of this fallen title, then the best thing it can be is a reminder of what to avoid and where to improve upon.
I'm Josh Scorcher.
And I'm Count Shaman. Now then, I'll be taking my leave.
Wait, you're not staying for the whole month?
Nah, I got my own set of Mario-related projects to take care of. Good luck with the rest of the month, though.
I'm still making him edit these videos. I'm doubling his workload like the good boss I am.
Oh, come on!
So yeah, that was the Josh Scorcher's top 10 worst Mario games. And I think that might be the last video for now. I needed the wrong thing. Damn it. There we go. Anyway, never mind. This direction. Dang it. Who knows? So many details. Alright. There we go. Alright. Time to save and export it. Have a basic PNG model for good to go. Alright. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night here. Yeah, I had a lot of technical hiccups tonight, and honestly, I'm kind of feeling out of it. But yeah. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.